The search and rescue case of the Raw Faith on Thanksgiving Day, 2004. The Coast Guard cutter Dependable, which is a 210-foot medium endurance cutter, was on a normal 6 to 8 week patrol out in the North Atlantic. She was home ported out of Cape May, New Jersey, and it was Thanksgiving Day, and we were up off of New England, and it was pretty rough out, you know, up in the wintertime up in New England and North Atlantic. It gets that way. And we received a call that a vessel was in distress, and we were getting ready to sit down for Thanksgiving dinner. And I'll put a picture in right now of the cooks preparing the meal. Well, we came, so we started steaming towards the Raw Faith, making the best time we could, you know, in the sea state. And she was about 50 miles off the coast of Rockland, Maine. She had run into some rough weather, jammed her rudder, her 6 foot of one of her foremast came off and took out her radar and some antennas, and she was taking on a little bit of water. And of course, you know, once you lose your rudder and you don't have any way to steer and you're out in that rough seas, you're just getting pounded around. And there was a crew of six people. She had left Rockland, and she was headed down to New Jersey to pick up some more crew, and then they were going to go down to Florida. And this vessel, I'll put a picture in right now so you can see her. And she looked like an old pirate ship. She was, but she wasn't old. She was recently made, and she was made to take handicapped children out to sea and kind of give them the experience of being underway. And so, you know, like I said, she had left Rockland, went down to New Jersey, going to pick up some crew, and then going down to Florida. And she was just a very unusual ship to see nowadays. We arrive on scene, and we sent a boarding team over to evaluate everything, and actually brought 4 of the crewmen over and left 2 of the crewmen on board to take the tow. And the reason why we brought the 4 on board, was they were cold, wet, seasick. So they came on board with us, and it was, you know, lucky for them, because they got a Thanksgiving dinner. And I'll show you a picture here. I'll put it in of the crew eating Thanksgiving dinner. And then here's a picture of the wardroom, the officer's wardroom, with the first class cook setting everything up. And once he got everything set up, the seas were so rough, you know, a couple minutes later, you know, I'll show a picture of the before and then the aftermath of the table. I'll put that in right now. Well, you know, while we're eating, we had sent a couple other guys over there to try to start dewatering, getting any water out of the Raw Faith. And those guys, they got seriously seasick. they're having problems with the pump. They radio back. I mean, there's one thing when you're on like the Dependable, making way, we can steer into the seas, even though it's rough. It doesn't feel as rough as it is. But when you're on a vessel that has no steerage, no power, and you're just at the will of the waves, it's a whole different story. So these guys got really seasick. They called back. They said, "Hey, we got to get off of here." Well, it was too rough for us to even get the small boat in, and so we had to make a decision. We said, "Hey, you got to stay on board until the seas calm down, and we can at least get the small boat in the water and get you off." And so eventually, at 4 o'clock in the morning, we were able to get the small boat over there and get them. And they were in such rough shape, they almost fell overboard from the raw faith trying to get into our small boat. And once they came over, I was there on the the boat deck when they came back, and it took a whole bunch of us just to try to lift them out of the boat. They were so just dead weight. They couldn't even get out of the boat. They were so seasick. But we got them back, and then we just that following day we set up a tow, and I'll put some pictures in here right now of us setting up the tow to get her into to Rockland. And once we got the tow set up, we towed her on in, and then eventually handed her over to a Coast Guard 47-footer that took her into Rockland, the rest of the way into Rockland, and then we continued out on patrol. But yeah, the raw faith, it was just like say, it was a typical search and rescue call that we would do. We would be sitting out there and get the call and then have to steam over. And usually when we showed up on scene, the boat, it was usually a fishing vessels that we dealt with. They had already sunk, and usually a helicopter had come and plucked the crew off, and we were just picking up whatever the remnants were of the vessel. Or if there were anybody else still in the water, things like that. But this one was interesting that she was still up, and that just the way she looked. Like I say, you see in the pictures, she looked like an old pirate ship. And so raw faith, Thanksgiving Day 2004. And if you like that story on the raw faith, I have plenty of others in my book, Count on Us, Coast Guard Cutter Dependable, for my tour on there in 2003 through 2005. And I outline, this story of the raw faith and a couple drug seizures down in the Caribbean, and some fisheries and some more search and rescue cases like the raw faith. And you can get it through my website, www.edsemler.com, where it'll link you to Amazon, where you can get it as an ebook or a paperback. So check it out, and hope you enjoyed this little sea story about the raw faith.